Welcome back to the Crypto channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is still playing out the short-term bullish recovery as the price is still targeting this major level of liquidity in the Bitcoin liquidation heat map. So yes, I'm still currently in my Bitcoin long position, but over the last one day, I have just taken a small amount of profits out of this trade, which I'll talk about in just a moment, alongside the Bitcoin dominance now getting extremely close to breaking below this very important area of support, which is some massive news for the altcoin market as Ethereum is now retesting this significant area of resistance, and the price of XRP is also now running into a very important level of resistance. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the weekly Bitcoin price chart, and the super trending indicator is still sitting in the green, indicating a larger bull market. But of course, on this weekly Bitcoin price chart, as I've been talking about every day for almost a week now, over the last few days or so, of course, we've technically confirmed a massive bearish divergence on the weekly Bitcoin price chart, with higher highs already confirmed in the price in the candle closes. And just over the last 1 week or so, we've now technically confirmed a lower high in place in the weekly Bitcoin RSI. And so obviously, like I've been saying over the last few days, this is a long-term signal, not a short-term signal. So it's telling us what we may be expecting or what could be coming in the next 1 or 2 months, not necessarily the next 1 or 2 days. So of course, in the shorter term, we can see short-term pumps and short-term bullish reliefs. But overall, technically over the next 1 or 2 months, at least this signal right here is telling us that we should not necessarily expect a significant amount of bullish momentum on the larger timeframes. And what is a much more likely scenario based on the bearish divergence is either at best just a bit of a sideways consolidation, or maybe even a bit more of a pullback at some point in the next couple of months. And so that is still the situation on the weekly time frame, but once again, technically still in a larger bull market. And looking at this 3-day Bitcoin price chart, at least for now, we're kind of lacking momentum to either direction. So technically, the 3-day Bitcoin MACD is still currently sitting in the red after the latest bearish crossover that confirmed around 1 to 2 weeks ago. But despite that being the case, obviously, if we're looking at the actual histogram within the MACD indicator, it's looking extremely flat right now. We're not really seeing any significant momentum to either direction, at least as of right now. So overall, we're actually looking relatively neutral when it comes to the 3-day time frame relative to the 3-day time frame. Obviously, if we're looking at much smaller time frames, these little moves right here look like much larger moves on the smaller time frames in the short term. But overall, on the bigger picture here, we're actually looking relatively neutral, at least for now. And if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin price chart, obviously, we're still continuing that bounce from pretty much this exact level of support that I've been talking about since before that perfect bounce right there, sitting at around 112,000. So obviously, once again, continue to expect a lot of support at around 112,000 if the price can actually get back there. And in terms of resistance, we could find some resistance at closer towards 117,000. And so far, we're starting to struggle a little bit in the immediate short term at just above 117,000. But obviously, if this short-term bullish relief continues, then the next significant area of resistance is starting at close to 120,000, especially at around 120k. We have very strong resistance right there, as we can see. And if we're taking a look at the shorter term here on the 8-hour time frame, like I've already been saying over the last couple of days, technically we have a short-term bullish relief. I talked about this around 2 days ago now over the last 2 videos, with this higher low already confirmed a couple of days ago. But then, like I said again in my last video, of course, we have a higher high now confirmed, officially confirming at least a short-term reversal in the short-term price structure for the price of Bitcoin, going from lower highs and lower lows, a short-term bearish trend, into now forming higher lows and higher highs, technically a short-term bullish trend. And so over the last 1 day, obviously this price structure has not changed. We're still looking bullish, as I talked about in my last 1 to 2 videos. But in case you're new to all of this, if you're new to this channel, it's important to understand the difference between the different time frames. So even though in the shorter term, technically we're seeing bullish price structure and a short-term bullish trend, once again, we still cannot forget about this larger bearish divergence on the weekly time frame, which can still ultimately play out over the next 1 or 2 months. So maybe this short-term bullish trend lasts for another few days, maybe even another week or so, just in the short term once again, but still consider this major bearish divergence on the much larger time frames. And in terms of short-term support and resistance to watch out for, I'll now expect a lot of support at around 115 to 115.5k, give or take, based on previous support and also previous resistance right here, now acting as new support at around 115.5k. And in terms of short-term resistance, once again, we now are just about running into this resistance here, sitting at just above 117,000, around 117.5k. And then above that, we have this descending line of resistance here, which will be coming into play at just above 118,500. So in between around 118.5k to 119k, around there. I'd also expect a bit of short-term resistance. And then of course, above those levels, we have very significant resistance at roughly 120,000. And if we're taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, we can still see a major level of liquidity continuing to build at around 120,000, as I've been talking about for a while now on the channel. But obviously, as I've also been saying, between the current price and 120k, we do have those points of resistance along the way where the price could possibly struggle at, as we're just now starting to see in the short term at around 117,500. And so ultimately, we can see that 120k level as kind of like a price target or a magnet for the price of Bitcoin, attracting the price towards 120k. But then of course, these points of resistance are obstacles for the price that we need to actually break out above, because obviously if we fail here, we can struggle at these levels and see possible rejections from these points of resistance. And so when we consider all of this information, considering the short-term price structure pointing in the bullish direction, as I've been talking about over the last couple of days, of course, I'm still in a long position betting on bullish price action. Like I said in my last video, of course, I shared very transparently opening this long position just yesterday, but then also considering those points of resistance where the price could possibly struggle at or possibly reject from, as I also talked about in my last video, I said I'll most likely look at these points of resistance to just take a bit of profits off the table, slightly reducing the size of the trade at each of these points of resistance. And of course, considering we hit around 117,000, 117.5k at roughly around there, I did take a small amount of profits off the table, just slightly reducing the size of the trade as I said I would in my last video. And so of course, if you watched my last video, you'll know that this started out as around a $700,000 Bitcoin long position. But as of recording this video, this is now a $600,000 Bitcoin long position, taking and securing about $1,000 in profits so far, and still roughly $6,000 in unrealized profits. And you can see that I now have a stop loss at pretty much break even, just above my entry price, so that even in the worst case scenario, even if the price just crashed right now for whatever reason, essentially that would hit the stop loss and automatically close the trade at that level in a slight profit. And of course, considering the profits I've already secured out of this trade at this recent high right here, obviously, even in the worst case scenario now, this is still a profitable trade. And so my trading strategy moving forward with this position right here is to essentially just keep the position open, either ultimately get stopped out if we just crash for whatever reason, but considering the price structure is still bullish, essentially I'll be targeting these next points of resistance to take a little bit more profits off the table at each of these points of resistance, as I mentioned earlier. And then if ultimately the trade enters further and further into profits, if the price continues further towards the upside, I'll just slowly move this stop loss a little bit further towards the upside into profits if the trade moves further into profit, so that even in the worst case scenario, essentially I'm just securing more profits. And so that is my very simple yet effective trading strategy. As you can clearly see, it's working out very well so far, just the same as my short positions over the last 1 to 2 weeks. Obviously, I shared short positions from roughly around here, shorting this move, and then just over the last 2 days now, talking about long positions, longing this bullish relief. And so obviously, if you're trading the short term here, the smaller time frames, you have to be watching my videos basically as soon as they come out, every single video of mine, because the short term situation between bearish and bullish changes very often and very quickly, whereas the larger time frames, the long term situation, obviously takes a lot longer to change. So on the weekly time frame, for example, I've basically been saying the same thing each video for many times now, for a long time now on the channel. But of course, the short term, the smaller time frames are only short term moves, so they don't last very long, which is why they flip between bearish and bullish very quickly and very often on the smaller time frames, the short term. And so obviously, if you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on so that you don't miss out on any of these important update videos, which I share every day here on the channel, sharing these trading opportunities, showing you how you can easily profit in the crypto market, no matter what direction the price goes, as I'm doing right here, very transparently as always here on this channel, completely for free. And of course, if you want to get set up ready to go to take these trading opportunities, you have to be set up ready to go on a crypto exchange. And personally, I'm taking this trade right here over on BTNX. So I'll make sure to leave a link to BTNX below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here where you can claim some massive trading and deposit bonuses. For example, you can claim up to $40,000 in trading bonuses. And also, if you deposit just $1,000 USD, you get a $200 bonus into your BTNX account. But these bonuses are only available if you use that first link below this video to actually make your BTNX account. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, or preparing to take the next trading opportunity, you might as well get set up ready to go using that first link below this video to take advantage of these major bonuses here that are only available using that link once again. And in case you're wondering, BTNX is a no KYC exchange, which means you can access it from basically any country in the world without needing any KYC. But as always, check your local regulations when it comes to trading crypto. And for whatever reason, if you don't want BTNX as an exchange, there's also 2bit as another option out there, another exchange that I also trade on. So I will also make sure to leave a link to 2bit below this video. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page where there's also massive trading and deposit bonuses. For example, up to $50,000 in trading bonuses, a $30 sign-up bonus, and a 20% deposit rebate up to a max of 200 USDT. So for example, if you deposit just $1,000, you get a $200 bonus into your 2bit account. But once again, only if you use that link. And in case you're wondering, 2bit is also a no KYC exchange. But with that being said, taking a look at the Bitcoin dominance chart, and right now, as of recording this video, the Bitcoin dominance is actually getting very close to possibly seeing a break below this very important area of support on the 3-day Bitcoin dominance chart. But obviously, at least for now, we've not yet actually confirmed a break below this area, which means there is still the possibility we could see another bounce from this support, as we've seen many times since basically around February this year. We've seen many bounces from this area of support in the Bitcoin dominance. And so for now, while we're still testing the area of support, we simply just have to wait and see, either wait for confirmation, confirming the break to the downside, or wait to see potentially just another bounce here. Once again, we're still in the wait and see phase, the test phase of this area on the price chart. But if we actually confirm candle closes below around 60.5% in the Bitcoin dominance, in that situation, and especially if we fail to get back above that area, flipping it into new resistance, that would be obviously bearish for the Bitcoin dominance, but extremely bullish. Very good news for the altcoin market. Because in case you're new to all of this, basically all you really need to know is if the Bitcoin dominance is bullish, it means Bitcoin is outperforming most altcoins. So in other words, altcoins are not doing too good. But if the Bitcoin dominance is bearish, that's usually basically talked as an altcoin season, where a lot of the altcoins are having some quite large gains if the Bitcoin dominance is bearish, which is why if we confirm a break below this area of support, that would be very good news for the altcoin market. And so of course, I'll be keeping you up to date every day on the Bitcoin dominance over the coming days here, which will be important to pay attention to. And if we're taking a look at Ethereum on the 3-day time frame, while we're seeing that short-term pullback in the Bitcoin dominance, and especially while Bitcoin is playing out a bit of short-term bullish price action, of course, this is already helping in the short term for Ethereum and a lot of the altcoin market right now. But at least as of right now, Ethereum is still just testing this major area of resistance. We've not yet actually confirmed a breakout, at least not yet, from this massive area of resistance, still sitting in between roughly 3.9k to 4.1k. So ideally, we need to see candle closes above, ideally 4.1k, and actually hold above this area to officially confirm it as new support and obviously confirm the major breakout here. And if Ethereum actually confirms a breakout above this area, and especially if we hold above this area, honestly, I would not be surprised if in the coming weeks, we actually see a continued bullish move quite quickly towards the higher $4,000 area, as in towards the all-time high at close to 4.9k, even close to $5,000, if we first see a confirmed breakout above around 4.1k and actually holding that level. But there's still some possible risks to be aware of, considering at least for now, we've not yet confirmed the breakout above the resistance, which means there is still the possibility we could see another rejection here. So keep that in mind. We still need to wait for confirmation. And if we're taking a look at this daily Ethereum price chart, once again, we have some major resistance at close to 4,000, as I just said earlier in this area. And in terms of support, I would be expecting support at roughly 3.8k if we see a bit of a pullback, also around 3.5k, and also just above 3.3k, acting as major support. But you can notice on the daily Ethereum price chart that we're still technically forming yet another bearish divergence, which is exactly what I've been talking about most days over the last 1 to 2 weeks. I've been talking about even if the price forms more of a short-term bullish reversal here, a short-term bullish pump back towards the upside above these previous highs, technically the RSI is still likely going to form lower highs compared to this previous high, which means there's still a possible bearish divergence forming. And so what we actually need to see in order to get rid of the chance of this bearish divergence actually confirming, we need to see a continued quick bullish move right now, actually breaking out on this attempt right here. If we see another little rejection or just stall a little bit over the next few days, that will actually confirm a new bearish divergence. But if we just continue basically straight towards the upside over the next few days and now break out above this area just in the next 1 or 2 days, obviously that can pull the RSI further towards the upside. And if the RSI creates higher highs, then there's no divergence. But the possible risk to be aware of is if the price continues to struggle in this resistance, maybe sees another little rejection just over the next few days. If that happens, then that will likely confirm a new lower high in place in the daily Ethereum RSI, confirming a new bearish divergence, kind of like what we saw last time in around June this year. And so this is a very crucial time for Ethereum, and we still have some risks to pay attention to. Once again, still a possible bearish divergence, and we've not yet actually confirmed the breakout above this resistance, but we are getting close. And if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the 2-day time frame, obviously it's a similar situation for Solana. It's what I've been saying for Bitcoin. Technically, we're kind of lacking momentum, but in the shorter term, we are indeed playing out a short-term bullish relief, and we've recently broken out above this short-term level of resistance here, sitting at around 167 to 170. So I'd now expect new support in that area if we see a bit of a pullback. And as for resistance to watch out for right now, I'd expect some resistance at close to $180, and above that, major resistance in between around 190 to 200. And overall, just in the shorter term, I do expect a little bit more of a short-term bullish relief as a very likely scenario, not necessarily massive momentum towards the upside, unless of course we see a major breakdown in the Bitcoin dominance. That can cause a lot of bullish price action for the altcoin market. But for now, while the Bitcoin dominance is holding this area, expect just a little bit more of a short-term bullish relief as a very likely scenario, especially if Bitcoin does the same in the short term, as we've seen over the last few days. And if we're taking a look at the price of XRP on the weekly time frame, we can still see a massive bearish divergence, technically still confirmed on the weekly XRP price chart, with higher highs already confirmed in the price in the candle closes, and of course lower highs already confirmed in the weekly XRP RSI. And so obviously, just like the Bitcoin bearish divergence on the weekly time frame, this is still a major warning signal to pay attention to when we're talking about over the next 1 or 2 months. Once again, this is not a short-term signal. This is not telling us that we're going to see bearish price action today or tomorrow, but maybe over the month of later in August, and especially over the month of September, we could likely potentially see some more bearish price action, or at the very least lacking bullish momentum for the next 1 or 2 months is a very likely scenario, at least based on this bearish divergence on the weekly XRP price chart. But zooming into the shorter term, we can see that right now on the daily time frame, obviously the price is continuing to bounce from this exact Fibonacci level of support, still sitting at around $2.90. So continue to expect a lot of support at around $2.90 to $3. And also, now that we've broken out above around $3.10, expect support at that level if we see a bit more of a pullback here. And as for resistance to watch out for, expect a lot of resistance at close to $3.40. And as we can see here, that's pretty much exactly where the price is just rejected from, to the nearest 1 or 2 cents. And so overall, continue to expect support at these exact support levels as I've been talking about, and continue to expect resistance at this exact level as I've been talking about once again. And in terms of the price structure, unless the price starts breaking out above essentially the all-time highs here, roughly 350, 360, if we start breaking out above those levels, technically there'll be bullish price structure. But for now, technically we're still sitting in lower highs, and for all we know, this could just be a short-term pump during larger bearish price structure, because at least for now, this is still looking pretty similar to what we saw earlier in this year. And of course, earlier in this year, during this larger bearish price structure, we did see some major short-term pumps, short-term bullish trends during the larger bearish price structure. And so essentially, the only thing that could potentially reverse this back around and continue the bullish price structure here is if we see that all-time high breakout, and especially if we see a major breakdown in the Bitcoin dominance. Once again, that can help the altcoin market in a major way. But at least for now, we're still waiting for more confirmation, and still currently finding resistance for XRP at close to 340. And if we're taking a look at the price of Chainlink on the daily time frame, Chainlink over the last 1 day has officially confirmed a breakout in a massive way back above this very significant area on the price chart, sitting in between around $17.50 to $18. And previously, this has been significant resistance for the price, and a few weeks ago it was major support for the price. So now that we've broken out back above that area, obviously this is a big deal, at least in the short term, for the price of Chainlink. And obviously, as I've been saying here on the channel, if we confirm a breakout with candle closes above $18, which has now happened, we've just confirmed a daily candle close above $18. I said if that actually happens here, expect to move up towards the next major point of resistance, which is starting at close to $20 per Chainlink. And of course, we've now pretty much exactly seen that play out. I've been saying once again, if we see a breakout above $18, expect to move towards close to $20. And now, obviously, the price has gotten very close to $20 and so far started to struggle around pretty much that exact level of resistance. And so right now, continue to expect resistance and the price to struggle or possibly reject from the exact levels I've already been warning about. Once again, at close to $20 here and really in between around $20 to $21 as an area of resistance. And as for support, I'll now expect support in this area in between $17.50 to $18. And if the price were to actually break back below that area with candle closes below $17.50, in that situation, we have major support at around $15.50, which is also pretty much an exact level where the price pretty much perfectly bounced from, as I've been talking about since before that perfect exact bounce. And overall, when it comes to trading Chainlink, at least when it comes to shorter term trades here, some of the best trading opportunities and trading strategies over the last few weeks is simply just to be trading Chainlink between those key levels on the price chart. So for example, once we confirm a break below $17.50, trading with a short position towards $15.50 and taking profits at that level, or for example, longing at that support at $15.50, trading back up towards that key resistance, or for example, once we break out above $18, trading a long position at $18 towards close to $20 and then taking profits around that resistance right there. Basically trading between these major points on the price chart has turned out to be a pretty decent trading opportunity, trading strategies over the last few weeks. And so honestly, I'll just wait for potentially another break either above $20 to $21, or if we break back below around $17.50 to trade the next move towards the next major price target. Obviously, once again, $15.50 if we break below $17.50, but if we break out above $20 to $21, above that area of resistance, we'll likely see a move closer towards around $24 as the next major price target. But once again, only if we first confirm a breakout above $20 to $21. And remember, if you want to take these trades in the price of any crypto, like what I'm doing right now, to easily profit in the crypto market, get set up ready to go using those links below this video to those exchanges. If you want to claim those massive bonuses that are only available using those links, and if you want to actually know how you can trade these moves, no matter what the price is doing, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.